Welcome to another PFF college football preview. Max Chadwick alongside Dalton Wassman here. So, Dalton, listen, we previewed all the playoff games, and originally we were going to say, hey, we're only doing the playoff games. But then we thought about it, we're like, you know what? We have a lot of fan bases that have been really good to us this year, and we've got some really damn good bowl games as well.
And we have our tradition of doing any of the games between ranked teams, too. So there's at least 3 of those games here.
So there's 3 ranked bowl games that are not in the college football playoff that we'll be doing as well as kind of just, thanking you guys for a lot of these fan bases that we're doing today. All of them have been really good to us. Like Miami's been great to us. Iowa State fans have been great to us as well all season long. So we want to give you guys one last preview for your season. And, of course, we had to do the Pop-Tart Bowl. This is my national championship game, Dalton. I would die for this bowl game. As the mascots would die and get eaten at the end of the game, they would give up their bodies for that. I would give up my body for the Pop-Tart Bowl.
Would you jump in the toaster?
I would, yeah.
You would?
I would love to be a mascot one of these years for the Pop-Tart Bowl. I would win, absolutely. But Pop-Tart Bowl, Saturday, December 28th at 3:30 p.m. on ABC. I don't know if you saw the Pop-Tart Bowl put out a hype video set to like the Oppenheimer score. And it was absolutely electric. And the new trophy is a toaster. There's a toaster built into the trophy. So this game is absolute circus. Is everything that's amazing of college football. It just makes no sense at all. They've got like 3 different mascots that are going to be competing to be eaten at the end of the game, to give up their body to be eaten at the end of the game. I just love this game. This is pure college football. I want this game to be a playoff game in the future. I really do. I think
awesome.
The Pop-Tarts Bowl is my national title game.
Maybe we should make it the national title one day.
Maybe you should.
Wouldn't that be great?
Just the Pop-Tart Bowl.
The Pop-Tart national title. The Pop-Tart CFP national title game. Love it.
So we're going to do what we've always done in these previews, and that's basically you take one side of the ball, I take the other side of the ball, and kind of break down a match that we're looking forward to watching in this game. And, we're lucky, Dawn, in these bowl games we're talking about, in the ranked bowl games, a lot of times, a lot of the top players opt out. Cam Ward's playing in this game, right? And we've seen some other players for Iowa State also say, hey, no, we're playing this game as well. Like guys like Jane Higgins, Jalen Noel, they're playing in this game that we think right now as well. So you have the Miami offense, though, with Cam Ward, his one final game as a member of the Miami Hurricanes, the Heisman finalists. What should we be looking out for when the Miami's got the ball here?
Okay, so an interesting stat that I found, and of course this makes sense when we think about Iowa State, is that the FBS average for time to throw, okay, is 2.77 seconds. All right, that's reasonable, right? Against Iowa State, it's 3.26 seconds, okay? And Cam Ward, we know, is the guy who wants to improvise, and he's the playmaker, and he can break the pocket, and he's cool under pressure and all of that, right? So first you start with Iowa State, and we go, why? Well, they're 119th in the country in pass rush grade. They're 123rd in pass rush win rate. But we know with the way their defense is structured, it's a lot of 3-man rush. The second most snaps in the country with a 3-man pass rush, right? The only school ahead of them, of course, is Cincinnati, who has a defensive coordinator who came from Iowa State and runs the same defense. So that's how that goes. Iowa State, they don't rush the passer. They kind of sort of choose not to rush the passer. They drop 8 in coverage. That's an interesting matchup in coverage, especially with all the talented guys, Miles Purchase and guys like that they have, and Darian Porter in the secondary. But you give Cam Ward all that time, and you might have an issue. When plays get beyond 2.5 seconds, Cam Ward, 90.1 passing grade, 5th in the country. 1,882 passing yards, 4th most in the country, and that's without even playing a conference title game. 72.4 adjusted completion rate, 23 big-time throws when things get beyond 2.5 seconds, most in the country. We know he's going to get out there, he's going to improvise, he's going to look for Xavier Restrepo for sure. Clean pockets and a lot of time in the pocket, those are the 2 things you don't want to give Cam Ward. I will say also, along with those 23 big-time throws, 13 turnover-worthy plays in those situations. That's the 12th most because we know he's a gunslinger. In Iowa State, beyond 2.5 seconds, has picked off 10 passes this season. That's tied for the 7th most in the country. So I think it's going to be a battle where Cam Ward is going to extend plays because he's afforded time to, and Iowa State's going to have to find a way to cover and disallow Cam Ward from making all those big throws.
So Cam Ward is most likely going to have a lot of time to throw in this game. For Iowa State to have a chance offensively, they need to also make sure that Rocco Becht has a lot of time to throw in this one as well. So my matchup to watch is, can the Iowa State offensive line hold up in this game? Iowa State this year, 108th in pass blocking grade, 124th in run blocking grade this year. Rocco Becht under pressure, Not that great. He has a 57 grade under pressure, which is not horrible, but it's obviously not that great either. 5 big-time throws, 7 turnover-worthy plays under pressure. And going up against a Miami defensive line, 92.2 run defense grade, 10th in America. 80.4 pass rushing grade, 26th in America. 39.6% pressure rate is 6th in the country. Now, if Iowa State's offensive line holds up, there's an avenue for the Cyclones to win this game because you've got 2 excellent receivers in Jaden Higgins and Jalen Noel. They could do damage against Miami's secondary. We've seen me vulnerable a lot this year, right? It's the reason why they lost to Syracuse. Louisville exposed them a lot in that game as well. And Georgia Tech even did some at times as well. Miami this year is 57th in coverage grade right now. But again, you can't even get to that matchup of Higgins and Noel against the secondary unless you protect Rocco Becht. So I think the biggest matchup to watch is, can this offensive line hold up enough? Because if it does, then all of a sudden, Miami's defense is vulnerable, and you can take advantage of that. But if the Miami pass rush is really getting going against Rocco Becht, that you won't see too much of Jalen Noel and Jaden Higgins doing a lot of damage against Miami.
Rocco needs to throw the ball in rhythm and he needs to avoid turnovers, right? We've seen when he gets hot, he can be really good, especially with those 2 receivers you just mentioned. Even, I believe Ben Bramer is going to be back at tight end for this game. He was dealing with an injury. They've got weapons. They've got a quarterback who can make the throws. They're very dangerous over the middle of the field, and I think that's where oftentimes we have the most concern about Miami all season is those throws down the middle of the field that have hurt him up the seams. Rocco can make those throws, but you're right. Got to have clean pockets, and both of these quarterbacks, for me, this is a game that could very well come down to which one makes those big mistakes, because both of them are gunslingers. Both of them, at times can make some back-breaking mistakes. Cam obviously has had more upside this season, but Rocco can be very hot and cold. It's going to depend on which of these quarterbacks can make less mistakes, either under pressure or late in plays when things break down.
Absolutely. So, Dawn, ultimately, in the biggest game of the year, the Pop-Tart Bowl, who will be eating the Pop-Tart at the end of the game? Who will be eating the live Pop-Tart at the end of the game? Will it be Miami or will it be Iowa State?
You gotta love it too. The a Heisman finalist and the Big 12 runner-up, right? Who just had a shot at the playoff a couple weeks ago, playing for a giant Pop-Tart. There's nothing better than that.
Hell yeah.
I lean towards Miami here. I think Miami's offense has a little more upside. I do think too there's a little more balance if they want to turn to their run game. And Cam Ward. Man, you give him that much time to throw, it's a problem. And I know Iowa State's really good in coverage, but Cam and Restrepo and all the guys they have at receiver, Elijah Arroyo even at tight end, it's a problem. And nobody's been able to stop this offense, right? I mean, at no point this year did they lose because of Cam Ward. That's not how this has worked. Whether it was even against Georgia Tech, they controlled time of possession, or against Syracuse, they just couldn't make stops. So I think it's really... and I know some people will point to like the one fumble against Georgia Tech. Well, Ward was great literally the rest of that day. He carried them this far. I think he's going to carry them to one more win. I'll take Miami 37-34, high-scoring game.
All right, I have even a bigger margin than that. I got Miami 35-21. I think a big part of this game that we haven't even talked about yet, Iowa State's run defense is currently the 16th worst in the country, 119th overall with a 66.1 grade this year. The run D has not played well at all. Miami currently leads the Power 4 with a 95.6 rushing grade this year. I think, and listen, Cam Ward, they're going to let Cam Ward shine, right? It's his last college game ever. He's going to be a top 5 pick, maybe even the number 1 overall pick in the NFL
maybe
draft.
Trying to get him up to number 1.
Maybe.
Number 1, number 2. I know,
maybe.
It doesn't make a huge difference, but it might depend on the team preference also.
And one thing we haven't talked about yet that I think could be a thing to watch in this game, Cam Ward is playing. There's also a chance Mario Cristobal says, hey, you get a couple drives, and then we're taking you out. Right, I don't know if he's going to play the whole game. So then I think the run game is even more important, right? Because then all of a sudden,
trying to win a Pop-Tart though.
I know that's true. That's true. I just could see Mario Cristobal saying, "Hey, you got a top 5 thing. Like we are guaranteed like that right now. I don't want to risk that for."
We did see that. I think I remember specifically with I think
Bo Nix.
Nix, yeah, and they were dominating Liberty. Malik Neighbors played I think only the first half against Wisconsin last year. So it's entirely possible. We're kind of picking these things on the premise that they will play the whole game, but.
It's unfortunate, but some coaches do treat this game like a preseason game, where it's like, hey, let's put the top players out there for a little bit and then pull them out of there so nobody gets hurt, right? Because they do have NFL careers to play for. Although we think the Pop-Tart Bowl is that important, but
Well, and even guys like a Ruben Bain who are going to be back next year, who you go, okay, let's get you going next year.
So that is something to watch out for as well. But we are under the assumption that Cam Moore's playing the whole game. But even so, I still think the run game for Miami is critical because I still think they have a big advantage in that as well. So I think David Martinez can have a big game against Iowa State as well. And Cam Moore is able to make enough plays against an elite Iowa State secondary because they just can't get him under pressure. If you give Cam more time, he just broke down really well before. It's a problem for Iowa State. And the other side, I think Miami's defensive line is going to dominate in this game. And if that happens, even though there's an opportunity there for Iowa State to take advantage of their secondary, it's hard to do that when you're not blocking well. And I think Iowa State's going to struggle offensively and then obviously struggle to contain Damian Martinez. And then you have Damian Martinez going off against you. You stack more guys in the box. Cam Moore goes over the top on you. And then it's just a mess, I think, for Iowa State. So I think Miami's going to win this game 35-21. But hopefully it should be a really good Pop-Tart Bowl because it is the most important bowl game out of all of them.
What's the best Pop-Tart, though?
I kind of like the chocolate one a lot when I was a kid. Was that like
chip one?
It was not chocolate chip. Was it s'mores maybe?
That could be.
I think it was s'mores. I haven't eaten Pop-Tarts in a long time. Maybe we should break them out for this game, honestly.
We probably should.
Frozen or hot? How do you eat them?
See, I like a lot of them frozen.
Okay.
For me, you take those cookies and cream ones and you freeze them. That's living.
So you don't even use. So if you won the Pop-Tart Bowl, you would not even use the trophy then.
I'd use it once just to say I did it. Yeah, for sure. But to me, honestly, I think the freezer is an underrated part there, man. I'm telling you, with the Pop-Tarts, you freeze them. Yeah. Oh yeah, they got a little crunch to them.
That's a good call. I'm trying to think of what the who the Pop-Tart flavors are going to be because there are 3 flavors competing in this game, but we'll find that out later.
We'll figure it out later. We'll see.
But yeah, it's going to be a hell of a game. It's always a spectacle. Last year, it was just amazing. I actually have a Pop-Tart Bowl poster in my room because one of our great graphic designers here at PFF, Seth Reese, made a graphic of the AA College Bowl 25 cover, but with the Pop-Tart as the cover of it. And it went viral. And somebody on eBay, or somebody in general, loved it so much they made it into a poster and sold it on eBay. I bought the biggest one possible. I got the nicest frame possible as well. Hung it up in my room. So I have it up. It's beautiful. It's my most prized possession, I think. Honestly,
I believe that. I could see that being the thing that you value most.
If our apartment building burned down, I would be most distressed about my Pop-Tart Bowl poster going away.
You're a mess.
But I'll just buy another one then. But
there you go. You would. That's probably the first thing you would buy.
The most beautiful bowl game in college football, the Pop-Tart Bowl between Miami and Iowa State. Just thank you guys again because I think both these fan bases have been outstanding to us all season long. We're not done yet. Obviously, we've got a lot more content coming off in the offseason. But want to thank the Miami fan base and the Iowa State fan base for being so good to us this year. That's our full preview of the Pop-Tart Bowl between Miami and Iowa State. Hey, thanks for watching another episode of the PFF College Football Show. Please make sure you guys subscribe to the channel.
Also, subscribe to PFF Plus at subscribe.pff.com for all of the same data and grades that we use in our show, plus fantasy tools, betting tools, and our mock draft simulator.